Hi, this is Tina from Cafe Crop, and today we are going to show you another one of our make and takes where we made a fun sweet birthday card with a bit of a fall theme where we can enjoy some candy corn that is high in fiber but very low in any fat and sugar, so you can give it to anyone. So this is the card we're making today, and let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our base cards or base pieces to our card, and we're just going to put a little bit of ink on the edges. And today we are using two distressings. We're using mustard seed and carved pumpkin. So I've already got my ink blending tools all nice and inky, and I'm not needing to do this one on a piece of scrap paper today because I really just want to put a little bit of color on my edges. So I'm just going to go lightly on the edges. The orange on orange is very subtle, but it still gives you a little bit of that color. And then we'll go to our yellow piece. Now before we actually put the color on our yellow piece, I am going to round the corners. I am using a 1/2 inch corner rounder on this particular one. So I'm going to go ahead and punch all 4 corners here. This is just using a We Are corner chomper. And then I will go ahead and take my yellow ink and go around the corners and the edges of this just to give that little bit of extra color. Go all the way around here. So if you wanted more color on the whole thing, you could certainly put it on a piece of scrap paper and blend in farther. So that's just completely up to you and the style that you like. Before we actually attach this on, in the card, you'll see we have twine. So we're going to put the twine just around the yellow piece and then attach it together. So I have it's mandarin and marigold are the colors of the twine that I'm using. Get this piece out of the way for right now. I am going to turn it over on the back, and I'm going to leave just about 2-3 inches hanging over the edge and put it down on the card. So maybe I have about 1 inch or so down here. I'm going to just take a little piece of Scotch tape to keep this in place so that when I go to tie it, it's not moving around on me. As I turn it over, I can now bring this around the front. So I've just got it crossing here, and I'm just going to tie a knot. Nothing fancy, no need to worry about making bows. And I used about a 14-inch piece of twine for each of the colors, and that lets me tie a nice little bow, and then I can just come in here and trim the ends short and get those pieces out of the way, and I've got my front to my card. So then this and this I can go ahead and attach. We'll just put a little bit of our adhesive, and I like using the Scrapbook Adhesives tape runner. Their new Mega Tape Runner is really nice and easy to use. So now we have the front of our card. We'll have to obviously attach it onto an actual card base. So I'm just going to set that up here for the moment, and I'm going to show you how we make our fun little pieces of candy corn. So what I did first is I punched 3 circles. So I found this actually some actual Halloween papers, but the back of them was just nice distress colors in the color of candy corn. So I punched a 3-inch circle out of the orange, a 2-inch circle out of the yellow, and a 1-inch circle out of the white. And what I'm going to do here, just very easily, and this one I did use glue, and I'm just using my Scotch Quick Dry in fine line bottle. And I'm using glue because I don't want tape runner to not cover enough of a piece when I cut this apart into my different pieces for my candy corn. So I'll just add this right on top here. And I have what looks like kind of a target or a bullseye. What I'm going to do with this piece here is actually take it, and I've already done this, and cut it in half. So this is just half of this. So I've cut this in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half again so I have quarters. So I end up with 4 quarters 4 pieces of the circle, and then I'm going to take that and cut it in half one more time, so I end up with 8 pieces out of a full circle. So if you kind of think of a piece of a pie, you're cutting your pie into 8 pieces. And this gives me a fun piece of candy corn. And in order to make my candy corn and give it a little more of a candy corn look instead of the very sharp corners, I'm taking another punch that I have. This is an 1/8 inch punch for the corner, so any kind of smaller corner punch. And I'm just going to punch my 2 larger corners so that I get a nice rounded edge. And just because of the contour here, I'm just going to snip that a little bit to make it a little bit rounder. So now I have, see, a nice round edge on my candy corn. And then the bottom of the candy corns, if you see them, they're always kind of just flat. So I am just going to snip that edge off of there so I give it more of a candy corn look instead of a pie shape look. And if you want, you can then just take that and brush it just a hair with ink on the orange and a little bit on the yellow, just to let that pop a little bit more. And I'm going to do 3 of those for this card. So I'm going to set that aside for the moment. And the next thing we're going to do is our sentiment piece, Have a Sweet Birthday. You could put Happy Halloween or something else on here as well, but this just seemed to fit. And the Have a Sweet Birthday, I stamped that from a Lawn Fawn set. This is the one, I think it's called Baked with Love. It's got the mixer and the mixing bowl and cupcakes, flour, rolling pin, all of that. And it has a really nice sentiment, Have a Sweet Birthday. So I stamped that. And I'm going to layer this on the card like this, but I wanted to banner the ends. Now the easiest way I've found to banner the ends and to have them match and not be mismatched, because if I do them each individually, they never look even. So what I'm going to do here is line them up on the bottom, and I'm going to cut up in the center just a short line. So it comes up to right about there. And then I'm going to go right from this corner, and I'm going to cut right to that point that I cut. Straighten that back out again. And I'm going to go from the other side and do that same thing. So I end up being able to just take that piece out. So they're little pieces like that, kind of arrowheads. And now when I move this over slightly, my banners are going to look exactly like they should and like they're matching. So then I'm going to just turn this around, do that one more time on the other end. So you can see when I stamped it, I left room on either end of my strip, which I just used a 1/2 inch strip to stamp on, and then a 3/4 inch strip to back it with. So cutting that there, get our little scraps out of the way, and now I have a nicely matched bannered piece. And what I can do from this point is I didn't want to leave it just white because everything else is the yellow and the orange and we've inked it. So I'm just going to grab my yellow, and when you get your foam pads nice and inky, you don't have to keep dipping it in the ink because you can still just go back and just grab it. And then I like to mix colors, so I'm just adding a little bit of orange right kind of on top of and next to that yellow, just to add that extra bit of highlight. You could also ink the orange base as well. Make sure when you put them together that your edges of your banner piece are matching up, because if you put it this way, then you can see they are going to look mismatched. So just make sure you've got them lined up for the same way that you cut them, and when you put it all together, you're going to end up with a piece like this. So now we've done all our pieces and we can finish assembling our card. So we'll get our card base back here. And I like to do things a little bit at an angle, have it a little wonky. So I've just put pop dots on the back of here. And I'm going to put this just at a bit of an angle there, so it's just slightly wonky. And then I have my 3 pieces of candy corn. So I already had the adhesive on the backs of these. So what I did though, because I wanted 3 different heights, I did a real thin, I don't know if you can see it on the video or not, but a real thin pop dot. These are all from Scrapbook Adhesives. The regular pop dot, and then one that I'm just putting the tape directly on. So I put my one that's flat just kind of in the middle here, laying on its side. Then I took my thinner pop dotted one, kind of laid it right over here, and you can put these any direction you want. And I'm taking the one with the thicker pop dots, just putting it over there. So now I've got a fun little card. I just have to attach this to a card base to actually make my card. But hopefully you can put it at an angle there, and maybe you can see the different layers. It just gives it more texture when you do that. And we've got our fun little sweet birthday card for the fall and autumn season. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Tina from Cafe Crop, and come back throughout the weeks and see more of our projects. Have a great evening.